Good morning, good morning, good morning. StreamYard seems to be doing whatever it wants today, being that the intro didn't start and then wrapped early. Q, how you doing? I hope better than our technology around here.
Yeah, about the same as our technology around here.
You just waking up?
Yeah, all good. Not too bad. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. It is Wednesday of going into week 2, man. We got a bunch to talk about. It's officially the end of an era. I don't want to take much credit for it, but I did talk about it on the show about a week ago and put a video out about how dancing needed to end at Ohio State, and Ryan Day addressed that in his most recent press conference. But we got plenty to talk to. Q, what do you want to get into to start the show today?
Oh, unfortunately, the thing I gotta get into is Gmo was the first in the chat. So it says the U is back, which they are not, but he also says go Canes. So if you care to hear Canes propaganda again, Category 6 Sports is the place to find it. But shout
I
to
got
Gmo.
I
Oh,
got
go
to
ahead.
give a double shout out to Gmo. If you guys haven't seen it yet, we are currently doing a giveaway on Twitter. We're giving away 2 tickets to the Western Michigan game on Saturday, and they just so happen to be tickets donated to us via Category Sports, our guy Gmo giving us tickets to give away. So if you haven't had a chance to enter to win free tickets to Saturday's game, make sure you go find that tweet on Twitter. Go ahead and throw a retweet on it and enter for a chance to win. We will be announcing the winner of those tickets on the show on Friday. So again, a big thank you to Gmo for those tickets. I know he harasses everyone in the chat, but he also constantly looking out for us. So big shout out to Gmo. And if you haven't had a chance to enter for those tickets, make sure you find that tweet on Twitter and make sure you get your entry. But Q, where are we starting?
Yeah, man. I'll just quick thought, man. Category 6 sure has a lot of Ohio State tickets just laying around.
I know,
Apparently,
man. It's crazy how that works, isn't it?
yeah, apparently, like, yeah, those Miami games ain't too great, but those Ohio State games, those are the ones. Well, so
he
we'll
claim
see.
he claims to be a Miami fan, but I'm sure there's an Ohio State pod coming here with the
We'll
way he roots for that team.
we got home game. They got Miami home games coming up, so we'll see how many tickets are just laying around to get handed out. Oh man.
Exactly.
Okay, this is where we'll start. So for pre-show, I got the AP poll. So I'm gonna tell you the top 10 currently of week 2. Everybody, something I noticed. Everyone has a poll nowadays. Like we didn't come up with our own because when I seen it, it was the AP poll, which is for the season we'll go by the AP poll. That would be the one. Got the coaches poll. ESPN has a new poll. On3 has a poll. Pro Football. I'm like, all right, can we get one poll? Everybody just agree with something, but we are running by the AP. So this is what I got. This is your top 10. At 1, Georgia. At 2, Ohio State. At 3, Texas. At 4, Bama. At 5, Notre Dame. At 6, Ole Miss. At 7, Oregon. At 8, Penn State. At 9, Missouri. And at 10, Michigan. Ron, any of those stand out to you in chat? Let me know if any of those stand out to you. You'll move them around. I'll give you them again real quick. Georgia at 1, Ohio State 2, Texas 3, Bama 4, Notre Dame 5, Ole Miss 6, Oregon 7, Penn State 8, Mizzou 9, Michigan 10.
Yeah, I'm shocked that Oregon's still in the top 10 after that performance. I mean, they looked horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that we were going to get a week 1 upset, and we talked about it earlier in the season. I said there doesn't seem to be one true juggernaut within the sport, so you're going to see a lot of teams pop up. For example, Miami. You're going to see a lot of teams potentially get beat. And you saw Michigan and Oregon both struggle out of the gate. I feel like, again, makes me sick to say this, but until Michigan loses, which I think they're going to do Saturday, but we'll get to that. But until they lose, I mean, they're the reigning national champs. They haven't won in what 2 I mean, they haven't lost in 2 seasons. You have to keep them in the top 10 until they prove you otherwise. Despite them showing it doesn't look like they have a quarterback, even if he does look like JJ McCarthy in a picture, he doesn't look like him on the field. So I think those two are probably my biggest gripes. But I mean, I guess Michigan should stay in the top 10 being an undefeated defending national champ of Oregon. I don't know. I mean, you see it in the chat. Our guy Travis said he watched the film, the rewatch. I know Zach did a film room breakdown on Oregon as well, and doesn't sound like it looked too great.
Yeah, I will agree there. First one that jumped out to me is Notre Dame at 5. I thought their defense is really, really good. Their offense is just okay to me. I mean, it looked maybe better, but top 5 already. I mean, Texas A&M, I'm sure going on the road is not a very easy win, but it's also a new coaching staff because their last coach got fired. So it's not exactly walking into a buzzsaw, going down there. So that one jumped out a little bit to me. But other than that, yeah, I'm right with you. Oregon, Michigan are probably the two that I'm like, yeah, I don't know if y'all watch that. Well, I know why Michigan's in the top 10 because they got tickets to sell. So that's exactly that top 10 matchup on TV is definitely why you need Michigan in that top 10. So with that being said, I'm not surprised.
I know we only have the top 10 in notes, but I wanted to note something from the top 25. Preseason, we ranked our top 5 coaches in the sport. One of yours fell out of the top 5. Thoughts on Florida State and your best friend, Mike Norvell?
Minor setback for a major comeback. See, Mike Norvell knows how to get a raise. He told them, hey, for these first 2 games, just do whatever you want. No, don't play well, miss receivers in the end zone, and then I'm gonna look like an absolute genius when I turn this around in week 3 and make a run to the Natty and play against Ohio State. So, Mike Norvell, he's 2 steps ahead of us, Ron. What do you want me to tell you?
I'm called Mike Taggart.
Oh man, that's too funny. Yeah. Florida State, they're about it there, but we'll see. Georgia Tech is ranked now, so that's not a terrible loss.
I was talking to Chris yesterday, and he said, "Man, I don't know how to feel about Georgia Tech now."
Yeah, Boston College is more impressive almost as week 1. Oh, that's pretty funny. All right, but yeah, next up, so On3 has their Heisman rankings. I'm going to throw you their top 5 guys right now in the Heisman running, and we'll see your thoughts on that. Chat, let me know as well. So at 1, dang, Gmo's in here. They have Cam Ward at 1 from Miami. At 2, Travis Hunter. At 3, McMillan from Arizona. At 4, Genty from Boise State, who went for 20 carries, 200, almost 70 yards. A million
Boise
touchdowns.
State plays Oregon this week, huh?
Yeah, they do.
Well, that'll be interesting to keep an eye on.
That's one of the big matchups. And at 5, Jalen Milroe. So, do you feel like after week 1, that's the top 5 you've seen? You feel like that's right?
I mean, no Arvell Reese.
Yeah, see, that's where they went wrong.
No, yeah, I agree with the top 5. I feel like I'm in the minority with this one. But everyone keeps saying Colorado's not going to win enough games for Travis Hunter to win the Heisman. And I just disagree. Like, I don't think you could dispute if he continues to maintain this pace of production on both sides of the ball that he's not the best player in the country. And at the end of the day, that's what the award is. And if he goes out there and continues to ball out and his legs don't burn out, I don't see a scenario where you can give the Heisman to anyone else.
I would say, 1, I do not see how he plays that many snaps a game and does not have burnout and risk of injury a la last season. Secondly, Colorado, they're exciting to watch, but that's almost in a bad way. I feel like it's very high risk reward with them. And as we see that they'll have close games against – well, lucky for them, USC and Oregon have left along with other teams. So they don't have to necessarily see them, but they're very much right on risk reward, and that makes me question what their record is going to be at the end of the season because there still are some teams in the Big 12 that can beat them. So
someone noted in the chat that no one has ever lost more than 3 games and won the Heisman.
Yeah, actually, I was about to ask you that question. Was the last time we had a guy that did not, did not have a good team win the Heisman?
Lamar. I mean, that Louisville team wasn't great, but I mean, they still went 9-3.
Yeah, I think they only lost 3 games. So
I mean, I feel like Jalen Milroe, with the expectations being so high at Alabama and their their schedule being so difficult, I feel like he's going to have a loss that's just going to be untimely as far. I don't think the Boise State hype will last. And I mean, you look at that Miami schedule. Cam Ward looks like he did against Florida for 12 weeks. I mean,
Yeah, well, yeah, if he can do that, the one thing and the reason I have not again hopped on the Miami bandwagon is because one, Florida's not great. So let me see a little bit more comp in there. But also Miami is just not has not been consistent. They'll come out week one, look like barn burners, and then week three they'll be in a battle against Georgia Southern. So I got to see them be consistent if they can do it. Let's talk about Miami's back. Be consistent at least somewhere in the region you were in inconsistent. So yeah, do it for a timely time. Let's see in week 8 how they're looking. Let's see in week 6 how they're looking. Let's see in week 10. Then we can say, oh, you might be back, but I cannot buy all my stock in week 1, unlike I did with Arvell Reese and it paid off. So, but my follow-up question to you: we looked at Ohio State Saturday. Stars all across the board. Guys look really well. But I don't know if there's any Heisman really contenders on this team. So my question to you is, will any Buckeyes be in the Heisman race this season?
Will Howard Will Howard probably is the only one on this team that could be in that conversation. I mean, 3 touchdowns against Akron, not something to really call for Heisman for, but like you said, apparently wins is a huge portion of this. They're going to be they should be undefeated or only have 1 loss going into the end of the season. If you're leading one of the best teams in the country and you're producing, I feel like Will has the ability to create Heisman level plays with his legs. I mean, he has Heisman caliber receivers. So if Will Howard's able to maintain his production, I don't see why he can't enter the conversation as the competition starts to pick up. I feel like the Heisman hype around Will Howard will start to jump once they have a big national game like the Oregon matchup and everybody's watching it, or a primetime matchup like Western Michigan this Saturday. Maybe more eyes get to see Will the Thrill. But yeah, I think Will is probably the only potential contender on this team this year.
Yeah, I feel like the Heisman is such a cosmetic award that I don't know if Will be in there down the stretch. I mean, I would say if a guy like Max Duggan could get into the Heisman race and be, at the end of the season at all the postseason awards, Will Howard definitely can as well. I just don't know. And there's such a spread in this Ohio State team. Without that, I'd say without that absolute guy like a Chase Young popping out, or obviously Will Howard. I don't believe he's going to look like Justin Fields in this offense. I don't.
You heard it here first. You said that Will Howard is Justin Fields.
I don't know if there's going to be a guy in this race, but like I said, it's early. We'll see if a guy emerges, and we'll be on the lookout for it. I'll be more than happy if Will's hoisting up that trophy and goes first overall at the end of the year. Okay, so I got some Michigan news for you. Not quite yet. We'll get into it on the next one, but some pre-Michigan news. First up, I like that they do this. The cheapest and most expensive ticket at the Michigan-Texas game. So, Ron, do you know what the cheapest, most expensive ticket is? You have no idea.
I accidentally looked ahead in the show.
Oh no, you looked ahead.
But they are on par with the West Virginia Penn State game this week, which is surprising, or last week, which is surprising that those tickets were so damn expensive, especially for how few people came back into the stadium after the rain delay and paying that much for tickets.
Okay. All right. I will give it to you, then I'll have a follow-up question. So, if anybody's interested in going to the Texas at Michigan game, the cheapest ticket is $235, which I don't think that's terrible for a top 10 matchup, even though I feel like you're going to be standing on top of the stadium. So don't back up because you might fall off. The most expensive ticket is $2,537. So I ask you, Mr. James, if Georgia was on the way to Ohio Stadium and these were the ticket prices, would we see you at the game?
If I lived in Columbus, Absolutely. But the fact that I
Well, yeah,
have to
reason it's
the
it's
fact that I do a
reason.
pregame show, postgame show, and live in a different state, I think even at those prices, I'd probably still have to pass. But yeah, man, I think that would have been a reasonable deal for tickets in Columbus. I mean, what would you think the lowest price to get in the door for that game would be? Or next year when Ohio State plays Texas, how expensive do you think those tickets are going to be?
Yeah, I would probably say the cheapest is probably 300. Arch Manning, playing against Ohio State, cheap probably 300. Most
You're not
expensive.
willing to go out on a limb and say who the starting quarterback is next year against Arch Manning?
Tavia St. Clair? I don't know. I've heard a lot of hype. I'm not gonna start that up this early. It's Devin Brown,
I'm looking
obviously.
at the clock. I'm like, what time is it? Too early.
Devin Brown, fan base is just gonna be pissed. So yeah, I would say probably on the expensive end, maybe 2,800. Yeah, I definitely probably would catch one of those cheap tickets. I think it's well fair to pay that for a top 10 matchup because how many times you're gonna see a big time game like that? Probably not many. So people get the chance to see that. I think it's decently worth it. That most expensive is kind of crazy, but I'm pretty sure there's well more in the median that are reasonable than not, even though prices are just high for college football tickets. I noticed a long time ago. I was like, why is college so more expensive than the NFL? Like, are they pros? And like, yeah, it does not work like that.
Yeah, I mean, and they also play guaranteed 5 extra games as well.
Yeah. That is true too. Okay, now more the real Michigan news here. That was some pre-Michigan news. Turn the Michigan show here. The real Michigan news is Jim Harbaugh on the NCAA. So your boy Hardball, for Johnny and who else ever else is in the chat right now, had some harsh words to say about the NCAA. He said they've been keeping money away from the players for decades. They just got hit with a $2.7 billion lawsuit. They have no credibility. That's the truth. Write that. So that's what Jim Harbaugh had to say about the NCAA. Ron, why is Jim Harbaugh talking so harshly about the NCAA?
Crazy he has so much to say when he had nothing to say when the NCAA investigators came to talk to him, but now he has all of these words for the NCAA, man. I mean, everything that he said is absolutely true, but I mean, fuck Jim Harbaugh. Like, yeah, pay the players, but I don't want to hear it from him. Like, I'm not trying to give him his flowers. I mean, he has been a champion of this conversation for a long time. I know Michigan fans like to say that's why they get picked on by the NCAA because Jim Harbaugh is against the NCAA and they're trying to nail it to him because he knows they're useless, this and that, whatever. At the end of the day, they still cheated, they still broke the rules, and he can never come back to the sport. So, I mean, you could talk all that shit, and I would love to see the players get paid what they deserve, and I feel like we're moving towards that, but I don't want to hear it from him.
Yeah, that ain't got nothing to do with that scheme you just had running over there in Michigan. You saw the NCAA all you want since that you're sitting pretty in LA now and don't have to deal with them on a daily basis. But it's kind of crazy that you start getting investigated and start talking crazy. So I thought that was pretty funny, and I expect. Let me see. Let me put the over under on 3.5 more Jim Harbaugh quotes about the NCAA before we get through October. You taking the over, you taking the under at 2.5 more
I'm
quotes.
taking the under. Once once the NFL starts playing, bro, he's gonna be like, Michigan who? He's gonna be so caught up in that season and trying to turn that franchise around that I don't think he's gonna have time to antagonize the NCAA once the NFL season starts.
You sure you won't just be like, Jim, how was the game against San Francisco? Well, we paid our players, unlike the NCAA did for decades after they stole billions and billions from them. But yeah, next question. Oh man. But yeah, that's too funny. That's all I got for pre-show. Everyone, make sure you like the video. It's 200 people in here. Y'all are in here early. We appreciate you. Like Ron said, we got the tickets going around again. Let them know what they need to do to win Ohio State tickets.
There's a tweet out there in the community. It is on my profile as well at 2T's at at 2Ts on Twitter.com. You need to follow all 5 accounts listed in the tweet, retweet the tweet, like the tweet, and tag a Buckeye friend at the bottom. And we will be announcing a winner on Friday. So make sure that you tune in. Make sure that you find that tweet out there. I will go ahead and pin that to the Best Damn Media Twitter as well. So if you want to find that after the show, check that out there and make sure that you are entered to win a pair of tickets to the Western Michigan game this Saturday at 7:30.
Yeah, and also bonus points if you follow City Boy Quitting on Twitter as well.
Your name is one of the required accounts to follow to enter.
When I was getting followers. I knew it was something. All right, man. Y'all like that? If you're on YouTube, like this video and let's jump into it. So, Ron,
before we get started, Q, people are already concerned. There is no end to an era, but I'm sorry, Lamont. I'm here to break it to you. It is officially the end of an era at Ohio State, Q. Let them know what era that is.
Oh, man. So this news is particularly made for you. I saw on a tweet from Jay Book. The Beat says Ohio State has removed all pregame dancing from years past. My first question, Mr. James, how happy are you?
Bro, ecstatic. If I wasn't so tired, I'd show even more emotion on my face. Not excited enough to dance, but man, yeah, Ryan Day putting an end to the Shibuya roll call that they do before every game. Yeah. We no longer look like a cheerleading troop warming up for a competition and now look like a football team. So, I mean, I don't want to take credit, but I am going to pat myself on the back here for putting out a video last week talking about the need to end this dancing and silliness. And here you go. A week later, Ryan Day. I mean, are we needle movers? I'd like to say so.
Oh, Ron James. I lost a family member today. Near dear to my heart was the circle of dancing before the games. This is one of the few times I got to see certain players because when the game kicks off, I don't get to see them much after that. So my heart breaks for that. What I need this team to do is start winning games, take care of business, beat the team up north, win the Big Ten championship, go to the playoffs, beat Georgia, and then start dancing right after that. So I challenge you, keep the dancing alive, but you can't do it until you win a natty.
Like, imagine if, like, Jay said it's a workman-like approach. Imagine you're walking into the office and you just see, like, your entire team standing around clapping, and you see a nigga doing a fake jump shot. Like, what are you gonna say?
Is this The Office?
You're like, what are we doing?
Look,
I'm so excited about the end of this goofy ass shit. I couldn't be more excited.
Man, the team energy they had in Scranton, Pennsylvania was amazing. I need that in my office, apparently. Yeah, again, I don't mind the dancing. The problem is they're dancing and losing. That's the biggest crime. I'm not going to go on a rant like Ron did. I don't mind having a little fun before the games. We all played sports. I had a little fun before the games, but we went out there and we took care of business. We were serious and we weren't, looking at each other all moody at the end of the third quarter as other teams are talking about they are who we thought they were. So if
did you ever give a pregame speech back in the day?
Nah, I was not a pregame speech guy. To be honest, I always hated pregame speeches. They were way too dramatic. Bro, my high school basketball coach, oh my goodness, he's talking about dramatic speeches. He used to be sitting there like, yeah, are you done? Like, we're trying to play here. There's only 20 minutes to warm up. Like, let's go. So I have never been a fan of pregame speeches, and they are not movie-like as some people outside of sports believe. So no. But mid-game, get your shit together. Those were.
Yeah, I was more of a, let's go out there and win. And if we start losing, fucking hit somebody.
Lose with dignity. That was the most important thing. Have fun out there, boys. That's all you got to say. Let's go out there and have fun out there, boys. Kirby Smart.
Don't get embarrassed.
Let's kick their ass.
Don't get embarrassed on 3.
Oh, Cancun on 6. All right. So now that the end of the dancing era is over, Ryan Day did have a press conference along with a couple other guys. So I'm going to run through some stuff and we'll see in the chat if there's anything that Ryan Day said that stuck out to you or any other guys. Go ahead and put in the chat and we may find it and go talk about it. Okay. So Ryan Day was asked, give him 2 positives and a negative from Saturday. He started right where we thought he would in the return game. Ryan Day said the punt return was better, but one negative. He said the first kickoff could have been a big play with my boy JB, but they got to execute better. And the third thing he said was a positive, saying we got to get off to no, wait, it's not 2 positives and a negative. Oh, he just thought the first kickoff could have been a big play. So I guess that's the positive. And then he said we got to get off to a faster start. So there you go, Ron James. 2 positives and a negative. Give me 1 positive and a negative from Saturday that you did not mention yesterday on the things you learned.
Okay. As far as 1 negative, man, I really didn't have.
I feel like we were pretty positive yesterday.
Yeah, bro. I feel like a sunshine pumper. Like I'm struggling for to find a negative. A faster start overall. I'd have to agree with Ryan Day. That's like my one big negative. I mean, you and Chip Kelly have been like scheming up this script for week 1 and getting ready, and to not come out and execute, that's kind of disappointing. So I'd like to see them get a fast start, and especially with 2 offensive minds like Ryan Day and Chip Kelly, you'd expect the scripted drive to be a guaranteed 7, especially with the offensive minds that they have, the firepower that we have on offense. So I'd like to see a faster start, and that's definitely something I want to keep an eye on is the offense executing early when they get the ball this weekend.
Yeah, that's a good shot right there. Like as Ryan Day said, if I had a negative, it was tackling in space. I thought that was the one thing that we missed a few out there, and I wish we got better at it. And I felt like we got to stay on brand here. We got to throw some negativity. This is best day. Goodness sake.
Ryan Day told the guys during the offseason to make sure that they're playing college football 25 so they know their opponents. And maybe they played a little too much because some of our tackling in space looks like the tackling in space on the game.
Got you in a spin move. There was nothing I could do. Okay, Ryan Day back to punt return. He said, we worked hard on it this offseason, which Brandon Ennis did a great job. Each of the coaches now owns it. He said, Rob Keys oversees it. I'm a big part of it. Now, my question is for you. Saw Brandon Ennis. He had a couple good punt returns. He looked explosive. We're like, he's 1 or 2 blocks away. My question for you is, how many punt returns do we score this season? I put the preseason at 1.5 returns, but that was before we saw anything. Now we got to have an updated number. Ron James, please let me know. How many ones will Brandon Ennis be cribbing this season?
I'm not getting greedy, bro. I will absolutely take 1. I'm staying at the under of 1.5. I hate to be the wet blanket, but man, we haven't seen 1 in almost a decade and a half. To come out here and predict 2 in 1 season, I will gladly be wrong if he gets 2. But I'm still sticking with the under 1.5. I think the Buckeyes only get 1 this season.
Well, you people, this is obviously Overreaction Wednesday off of a big time win from the vaunted Akron. I'm gonna go Brandon Ennis with 2 punt returns and 1 other player with a return this season. I'm gonna go 3 total.
3 total special teams touchdowns.
Yeah, 3 returns for touchdowns this season. I'm gonna go 3. I think my guy JB is gonna hold it down. He wants to dance, man. If JB wants to do one thing, it's dance. He wants to dance after he scores. I'm gonna go with 3 TD returns this season.
I got another one for you. Something that I feel like we haven't seen in a while in Columbus. Over under 0.5 punt blocks.
Ooh, that's a good one. Let's see here. I mean, if it's over under a half, I think eventually there'll be a game this season where you need to turn the momentum. They're going to go after a few punts here. I'll say probably 1 this season. That's a good question, though. I mean, I think what's the last one we seen? The one Lathan blocked against Maryland? Was that the last one?
I believe so.
Okay, yeah. So he's still around. He got 1 more in him. So I'm gonna go 1. I'm gonna go over on the punt block.
And it's always exciting too because it feels like when we get those pump blocks, it's usually someone that's really making the most of their opportunity to be on the field. So it's always exciting to see one of those young guys make a play like that, like a Chris Olave when he did it.
Yeah. I got one more for you. Over under point 0.5, 55-yard made field goals against
Under,
Georgia in the national
under,
championship as time is running
under,
out.
under. Hammer the under on any field goal prop with Ohio State. Shout out to Jaden Fielding. I wish him all the best in the world, but man, Ohio State's I close my eyes at night and sometimes I see that Georgia miss. Like, it is a nightmare that I cannot escape. I remember looking down at my phone and realizing, like, hey, it's New Year's Eve. I'm sitting here watching this game. My Buckeyes are about to potentially make a national championship. And then he misses the field goal. And I look down and it is just turned midnight. And that's how I started my year in 2023. Man, is that sickening.
We'll make it this time. Don't worry. We'll get a 30-yarder. We'll chip it in. All the ghosts of the past will be banished. Shout out to Punk.
I knew
All right.
Punk. I knew Punk was a Buckeye fan. He has a No Ruggles jersey.
He has two.
They sell them in the UGA bookstore.
He got a home and away. Oh man. Okay, Ryan Day went on to talk about Will Howard. Music to our ears. He talked about Will Howard using his feet. He said he can because he's big in the pocket, but he also has speed. As we know, Will Howard runs 38 miles per hour. Day said when you can steal a couple third downs with scrambles, that makes a huge difference. On rewatch, that was a mass. Oh, that was me. On rewatch for me, that was a massive. Yeah, I didn't say that.
Okay, Ron Burgundy. Pause.
I know. No, I was able to watch the all 22 yesterday and finally get a sense of how the offense played. On rewatch for me, that was the big difference. A lot of times, Will Howard made the tackles right. He made two guys miss at one point. He got a lot of easy yards. How much is it as a breath of fresh air that Will Howard, and how much level does this take higher for his offense? Will Howard's ability to scramble in the pocket.
I mean, it definitely adds a new element to this offense that was lacking last year, and it was great to see Will Howard running away from defenders with his jersey stretched because they're holding on to it, but they can't bring him down. So, I mean, that addition to the offense can't be overstated. I can't wait to see how it looks against better defenses, and is he going to be able to continue those types of performances? But a lot of people said during the off season, give Will time. Don't worry about him in the spring. This guy's a gamer. And that's normally not Ryan Day's type of quarterback. Ryan Day is like I need to know what you're going to do when I call this play. I need to be able to trust you to make good decisions and protect the ball. And Will Howard's like, all right, yeah. Calm down. We got this. Like, Will Howard looks like the calmest person out on the field, and I'm interested to see if he's able to maintain that calm demeanor when the bullets get to flying, and if he's able to continue to use his legs against faster defensive linemen, stronger defensive linemen. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on, but it is definitely an added addition to the offense in comparison to last year, something we definitely did not have, and I'm excited to see how that plays out in more meaningful games.
Yeah, the piggyback off you, I think that is the biggest weapon that Will Howard is going to bring this season. I mean, other thing, do I expect him to throw the ball as well as he did Saturday all season long? Heck no. Will Howard probably missed one or two throws that weren't on time, on target. But I mean, I don't expect him to do that every game. But what I do expect is when we get in danger, when the line breaks down, his ability to keep drives alive, move the pocket, get cheap yards, also create times for receivers to get open downfield. I think is going to be his biggest weapon. And in our biggest games, that's the biggest chip, obviously. So
I think the biggest chip is the one that calls the plays. But as far as one more over under before we get going, over under 2.5 intentional groundings by Will Howard this year.
Well, clearly it's under after that play he tried to make to Travion on Saturday to put the entire offense at risk. So he's a gamer by hook or by crook.
I felt like I felt like Will Howard yesterday. I was playing the game. And I'm running with Lamar Jackson, and it's RB to protect the ball because he had just fumbled on the last drive, and I accidentally hit LB and pitched it to my left guard.
Oh my
Felt
god.
like Will Howard out there.
Gotta do what you gotta do. Speaking of Chip Kelly in the booth, I don't know if you've seen it, but you see that picture of the dude from Dune 2, and they said Chip Kelly in the box?
No.
God, I gotta send it to you after this show. If you've seen it, there's this dude, like they basically do no color. And there's this white dude that looks gigantic, but his face literally resembles Chip Kelly. And it's so funny. Shout out to my OC though. Chip Kelly ain't that big, but my guy's holding it down in the booth. When you see it, you're gonna crack up. All right. Moving on to the most important news of the day. Ron James. This right here. Everybody, stop what you're doing. You need to listen here. This is what Ryan Day had to say about Arvell Reese. This is what he said.
I saw JJ in the notes. I assume this was a JJ comment.
No. well more important than that that 6'4" freshman out there catching touchdowns. The way Arvell Reese played, he deserves more reps. Let's pause it right there. Arvell Reese played 33 reps on Saturday. He was the second most played linebacker. So he deserves more reps. That would put him at what, like 45? Sounds like a starter to me, but let's keep going. So they also said Reese had to prepare at a high level last week and earn the snaps he received. If he keeps going like that and keeps up his preparation, he's gonna keep building. Ron James, does this sound like Arvell Reese is really making a bid to be a starter?
Bro, you wrote this show to make me be wet blanket Ron all morning.
I didn't say that. That's what Ron James said. I'm just a reporter. I am the beat.
Well, beat. I'll tell you this. When he says more, I think he means he's going to play. They're going to continue to try to get him as many reps as he had this past game. I don't think he means more and then more than 33 snaps. If he does mean more than 33 snaps, I mean, Cody Simon, like you're going to be the backup now. Like if Arvell is on the field more than 33 reps, that makes him the starter, correct?
I mean, yeah, if he probably
was there another Mike linebacker with more than 33 reps on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, Sonny Styles was what 56, and I think him and CJ Hicks were both at 33. I think CJ Hicks might have had one less, but they played basically the same amount of time.
Yeah, man, I think Arvell will definitely play. I don't think more than 33 reps going forward, but I definitely do think they're going to make an effort to get him that many reps going forward. So I do think he's going to play a lot, but do you feel like he's pushing already for the starting position after just 1 week? I mean, they're talking about him with such high praise, the athleticism, it's jumping out on film, but historically, the Buckeyes do not push linebackers off the field for the younger guy. I mean, I will come out here and sing a sorry song to James Laurinaitis and the entire staff if they put Arvell Reese out there and he starts and disproves our whole theory that they always play the older guy over the younger, more talented guy. I will lay my sword down and admit that, okay, just CJ Hicks just wasn't the guy, and that's why he never played. It had nothing to do with seniority. If Arvell Reese gets out there and just plays.
Well, actually, they had one more quote I'm going to read for you about Arvell Reese. He said, I don't care what Ron James says. Fuck it. We ball. So that right there tells me Arvell Reese is making a starting bid at Ohio State. I got to see what Cody Simon does before we get back. But, you know, after a big-time win at Akron, I have to say Arvell Reese really, as far as a prospect at linebacker, I mean, he's looked the best I've seen of anybody that's played time, obviously outside of Sonny Styles, we're playing a different position. In what, 4 or 5 years? Like, I haven't looked at anybody who's like, wow, that's a game-changing linebacker right there. Arvell Reese has been the first one in years as a redshirt freshman, but a sophomore in college. So I almost have to say, like, everybody else sees the writing on the wall. Like, this kid, you may be able to get away with, you know, splitting snaps with Cody Simon. Obviously, we know we'll move CJ and put him at the same position as Sonny, and he'll probably end up with probably 20 snaps a game, 20, 25, which is fine. But yeah, I think Arvo Reese is going to start to get the predominant snaps at middle linebacker, somewhat splitting it with Cody Simon if he continues to play like this week in, week out.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. As long as they're playing whoever's playing best out there, you're not going to get a complaint out of me. And I think Arvell Reese has definitely earned more reps if he does indeed receive them.
Yeah, I'd say it there. You said it the best. Okay. More quotes from Ryan Day on Austin Saraville. He said he could continue to be in the mix for reps in the O line. Ryan Day, I quote, said he looked like a first time, excuse me, he looked like a first time starter in there. That has real potential. He has power, has strength. He played decent. So he said he didn't grade out as a champion, but he said he did a lot of things right. So I know the offensive line was heavily criticized. Like I said, I was able to rewatch yesterday on the All 22. I don't think the O line was that bad. I thought Austin Saraville actually did pretty decently. I mean, I felt like the worst blocker up front was definitely at tight end with the I can never say, is it Will Katzenmoyer?
Kazmarek.
Yeah, I don't want to keep butchering his name, but I thought clearly he was the liability. Yeah, he was the liability up front. I thought Tegra played well. Carson Hinsman needed a bit of work, but Austin Saraville again, we didn't expect him to play that many snaps. My question to you: How do you think Saraville played watching? And would you mind if he continued to got reps down the stretch here?
I see Punk saying Ron cares more about his phone than the audience. No, I care about the audience. I'm trying to pin the tweet on the Best Damn Media profile to let people know that's where they can go if they want to win tickets to the Western Michigan game. So if you hadn't had a chance to enter, go to @BestDamnMedia on Twitter, find the pin tweet at the top, and enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets for Saturday's game. In regards to Austin Saraville, we talked about it a little bit on yesterday's show, or maybe the day before, about the depth on this offensive line and his ability to stay in that game. You saw the rotation at right guard, but Austin Saraville held it down at left guard the entire time, which makes me think if Donovan Jackson does get healthy, maybe he does move into that mix for that starting right guard position. But overall, seeing all three of those guys rotate between left guard and then the two that rotated at right guard, to have that depth and show that they're comfortable playing at least 7 linemen, I think is super reassuring. And again, a big shout out to Justin Fry for having Austin Saraville ready to play, one of the first guys in that class ready to play. Ryan Montgomery also in that class, a top 60 player, not on the field yet. So for Austin Saraville, a borderline top 300 player, a kid out of Ohio, to come in and make his stamp and get on the field and start to earn the trust of the coaching staff, I think speaks a ton to his development and their trust in him.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I'd say Luke Montgomery. We got to get him on the field in some way. That's a guy I didn't see that I would like to see out there start to get good playing time. But yeah, I thought he held it down. I think when Donovan Jackson gets back here for this offensive line, they're going to look really good. Because I thought Tegra, a guy who we've been begging on the table for it feels like years now, like, wasn't he a top 40 player? Like, you got to be able to do something. He got out there and it was like, oh, okay, there it is. So we were able to find it. So I think with Tegra and Donovan Jackson back in this line, it's like, well, look out, Georgia, because we're moving bodies here. Also, I would love to see board cap scheme again. It was a lot of stretch on Saturday. Even with Chip Kelly here, that's the one villain he can't defeat is the stretch run. So if we can get a little less stretch run and get our starters healthy, I think the offensive line will look pretty good this season. Yes, I said look out, Georgia. Punk, that was not a typo. That is what I said. Okay, moving on to play calling. Chip Kelly was able to speak, and he had a couple things for us. But before we do that, Ron talked about it. Don't forget to go after those tickets. But everybody, while in here, it's like 300 people. Go ahead and like that video. What's our usual goal for likes on YouTube before we get out of here?
50 before we wrap.
All right, there's enough people in here. Let's get 50 likes, and let's do it on Twitter. Let's get at least 25, 30 likes out there, and like 15.
That would be a new record.
We said in records a day. It's a positive Wednesday here on Best Damn Media. So make sure y'all do that. Okay, Chip Kelly. This is what he had to say on his play calling. He said needs to execute better, more focus on execution than how diverse the play calling is, but he needs to do better as a play caller. Ron James, do you have any problem with Chip Kelly, the game he called on Saturday?
Outside of running the ball on 3rd and 7, which made me want to uppercut my TV, no.
They never expected. What do you mean?
I definitely didn't. Definitely caught me off guard. Not the defense, because they got the stop. So outside of the 3rd and 7 run call, I have no complaints. Like I said, my biggest concern with Will Howard and Chip Kelly was that this offense would turn into the run raid, and they would just be trying to misdirection people all game with the run game and not get the ball to our superstar wide receivers. And those concerns were put to bed. So the fact that they were able to get out and get Jeremiah multiple touchdowns, Cardinal Tate had a touchdown, three passing touchdowns from the quarterback. It's fine with me, and they found great balance with their play calling. So all around, I like the game that Chip Kelly called.
Yeah, yeah, I'll pick it back off of you again. I'll say I like the game. I thought the perimeter blocking could have been a little bit better, but the wide receivers did block at times, which we haven't seen in a few years now. So that's a definite improvement. The tight ends, crazy thing, outside of Jelani Thurman, who we heard he's got to block better. He's got to do this and that. He looked like the best blocker of the tight end group on Saturday, who didn't record a catch. So it's like this guy maybe also too needs to start. Him and maybe Arvell Reese both need to start for this team. But I thought, it was a lot of plain Jane play calling, but also too, we're playing accurate. Like, we're gonna have to be cooking when we go and play these bigger games like a Georgia. I mean, not a Georgia, like an Oregon or whoever down the stretch. So I don't think Chip Kelly's going to show everything. I don't think he's going to quite show his creativity just yet. But off the little things we've seen, I thought the play calling was just fine. I know Chip, he's going to be a little hard on himself, but hey, I thought it looked fine. And now if we see something like this against, later down the season, I might be like, all right, Chip, we brought you here for the creativity. Get creative. So no complaints there. So Chip also spoke on your guy. Now this is your moment here, Jeremiah Smith. Unfortunately, we had to mention him because we are paid by South Florida Express. If you didn't know, go to South Florida Express merch on ronjames.com. So this is what Chip had to say about Jeremiah Smith. He said, I've been here since March, and he's been doing a lot. He's been doing a lot really. I can't read this. He's been doing a lot of really, really good things. There we go. Chip Kelly said, I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that he's going to be a feature guy in the offense. I thought he played really, really well. Ron James, Chip Kelly on Jeremiah Smith. What do you think?
I mean, I feel like he's continuing to reiterate everything that we've heard about this guy. He comes in as the number 1 ranked player in the country, a position that has been known to, not at Ohio State, which is a credit to Zach Smith and Brian Hartline, the job that they've done. I don't think we've ever had a diva wide receiver here at Ohio State, but a position that has a stereotype for being a diva on top of being the number 1 recruit in the country. And this kid comes in, says absolutely nothing, puts his head down, and becomes an Iron Buckeye in the offseason. Then he comes in and shows that hard work paying off, not only by the trust that the coaching staff had in him, but the trust that they had in making him such a huge part of the game plan early in the season. So to get him 2 touchdowns early, to see that the coaching staff trusts him, and then to hear Chip Kelly reiterate everything that we've heard about this kid being a hard-nosed worker, putting his head down and just embracing the grind here at Ohio State, is awesome to hear.
Yeah, as we said and reiterated, he's done everything like Will Howard. They've asked him to do. He's come in, he's worked hard. Seen him out there trying to block, trying to make things happen. And really, after the first couple plays of the game, he was pretty lights out after that and looked really good. So I'm glad the hype was real. We've had a lot of hype of guys, or they say our 5 stars don't look like 5 stars. Well, Jeremiah Smith certainly is working on breaking that mold, and he's played like a 5-star very early on. That's great to see.
I know we have one more note in the show, but I wanted to get to this comment before we get out of here because we're running a little late. I have a meeting at 9, but I wanted to get to this comment, and I have a video to play to address it. Our guy Draco says, dancing wasn't the problem with CJ and Justin Fields. It was the losing with the dancing, and then Kyle Dancing just ruined it 100%. If we don't lose to Teton and Kyle Dancing, we would still have suits. So I want to address that because we did talk about that recently on the show.
Final question for you on this. Will that 2024 Ohio State team match that 2019 team energy as far as coming out and playing?
I hope so. I mean, you expect to see it. A lot has been made about the dancing before games, and I'd argue that the dancing is not the problem. It's the quality of the dancing. They're so bad at it that it radiates an aura of loser before the game. And if they were better at the dancing, people would be less mad at it, and it would give off a better energy before the game. Everybody's like, why did no one care when Justin danced?
Full snap, get it, full snap, get it, full snap, get it, full snap, get it, full snap, get it.
Well, one, he won, and two, he was better at it.
Yeah, cause girls is players too.
Like when Kyle McCord is out there dancing, like the kids that you circle around at lunch when the weirdos start a dance circle at lunchtime, that's why we look bad, because that's how they're dancing. When everyone crowds around the kids that start dancing and everyone's cheering them on, even though it's horrible, but you don't want them to stop dancing. That's what it's like during our pregame. If we came out with some sort of swag and energy, we would be better fit to win these games. But they come out here with these loser-ass dance circles. If we let someone, either one that doesn't want to dance and they just go out there with some energy, or someone who can actually dance, none of these TikTok dances, none of the shaking our hips, none of that. Do something that'll strike fear in someone and then go out there and play ball. But
don't ask me if I'm all right. Hell no. Joaquin said dominate, and we not doing it.
It's the loser ass dancing. That's what it is. It's not dancing per se. It's the bad dancing. If we find someone that can dance on this team, watch out, Georgia, because we're winning 5 straight. Ryan Day saw the video. Am I giving myself too much credit?
To the contrary, Ron James, I think we have the best dancer on this team that we've had in generations. It's Jaden Ballard. What are we talking about? This dude has been feeding families on TikTok with his dances since he's got here.
Yeah, I know that's your guy. You hinted at it earlier in the show. You only get to see him when he dances pregame.
That's what I'm saying. Arguably, if he does not go to the league after his college career, he will be on America's Next Best Dance Crew. So
we're Ohio State's dance team.
I don't know about that. That's a bit
that good.
Oh man! But one last quick question before we get out of here. I know you do got a meeting. Is there anything you're looking forward to seeing against Western Kentucky on Saturday that you didn't get this week, or you want to see more of? Let me know what you want to see from Ohio State coming on Saturday.
Do we play We play Western Michigan.
Yeah. Oh, Western Michigan. I'm sorry.
One of them damn directional schools. Yeah, East. I thought you said West.
Northern Illinois. Go ahead, go for it.
No, the one thing that I'm looking for is for them to stay healthy. You saw a lot of people get banged up in week 1. I felt the fact that the Buckeyes were able to get off the field with a massive victory, play their depth, and stay healthy. That was the biggest thing, and I think that is the goal every game going into the Oregon game, is to make sure that we play our depth and stay healthy. So those are the 2 things that I'm keeping an eye on this weekend.
All right, well, there you go. Consistency, and that is all I got. So everybody in the chat, make sure you like the video before you get out of here. Greatly appreciate everybody coming through, chatting it up, hanging out. I know Ron has a meeting in a minute. So if you want to find me, I'm Boy Quentin on Twitter, Flying Johnson on Instagram, TikTok, Minor League Films here on YouTube. If you're in the movies, that's all I got, and I will catch y'all tomorrow. Ron, get us out of here.
Yeah, if you didn't get enough of us today, Chris Drew and I will be live at 5 p.m. on Bleacher Report, so make sure that you check us out there. We will be talking Ohio State, Western Michigan over there as well. If you haven't had a chance to enter to win 2 free tickets to Saturday's game, make sure that you go find at Best Damn Media on Twitter and follow the rules in the pinned tweet there. If you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at 2Ts. It's 2_TEES. You can find me here weekdays at 8 a.m. for the Buckeye Roast, Saturdays on the Menace Sports platform for the college football pregame show, post games on Bleacher Report, and then we are back here on Sundays for the flagship Buckeye BS. We appreciate everyone tuning in here. Make sure you check us out this afternoon on Bleacher Report, and you know how it ends. Go Bucks and OH.
Ayo.
Yeah.